Okay, so I've got our clean data. So the next step is an interim step that we need to do to basically create our calculation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create two pivot tables from this. Okay, so click here, come up to table design, and then I go across here to summarize the pivot table. And I'm going to put this on a new sheet. So click OK. And it comes up, and I'm going to rename the sheet calculations. Okay, so I just come over here and I just put in my product name into rows, and I'm just going to put the year into my columns because we're needing that later on, and I'm just going to put in my sales amount here. There we go. Right. Now, a couple of things. First of all, what I want to do is basically just get the top 10. I don't want to see everything, so I just come over to my row labels, go to value filters, and choose top 10. Top 10 by sales amount, which is fine, step 1. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm also going to format these numbers. So I just go to value field settings, number format, currency, OK, and OK. I got this one done. And now what I want to do is I just basically want to make a copy of this. So I highlight the whole thing, Control C, and I go over here and do Control V. Okay. And then I can just highlight all these, and then if I just do a double click on all of them, it widens them all in one go. But I just want the top 10. So I just go to row labels, value filters, go down to the top 10 again, and I just change this now to bottom 10. Okay, so I've got the first bit done there. Now, the other one then I want to do perhaps might be, I might just do a right click here, go to pivot table options, and I might just say for empty cells, show 0. Click OK. I'll do the same thing here, right click here, value field settings, right click, pivot table options, and then for empty cells, show 0. Click OK. Right. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to create a slicer that's going to be linked into both of these. So I click here in the pivot table, and then I come up here to pivot table analyze, and I choose insert slicer, and then what I do then is I want to have an insert slicer by sales territory name, and I click OK. Right. Now I want to do one other thing here, which is I actually want to rename these pivot tables because it makes it easier for me to see them. So if I click here, and then I go to pivot table analyze up here, you'll see it's given the name pivot table 1, which is not very informative. So I'm going to rename this one here to top 10 sales. And note as I'm entering it, no spaces in it. You can see in a minute why that's useful. And then I click on this one over here. Same thing again, pivot table analyze. And I'm going to call this bottom 10 sales. Now, then what I want to do is I basically want to plug this into both of them. So I click here, and then I go up to slicer. And what I do then is that I go over here to this one which says report connections. And I tick both of them. And if you see here, the names, it's given that this is where I gave it name, so it makes it much easier for me to follow it if I've given it names other something than other pivot table 1 or pivot table 2. And then I click OK. All right. So that's part 2 done. All right. And then we're going to look at the next one, is where we're actually going to start doing a little bit more on our dashboard itself.